The prison phone call that exposed a crime ring inside the walls. Before we go any deeper, hit subscribe. Some stories will keep you awake long after the video ends. It started with a single phone call, a call that should never have happened. On a rainy March evening, inside Palmetto Ridge Correctional Facility, one of the toughest prisons in the southeastern United States, a correctional officer named Lena Hartman monitored late-night communications from a small concrete room known as the Bubble. Her shift was routine, predictable, and usually silent. But at 11:47 p.m., a call flashed through the monitoring system from a number that didn't match any approved inmate line. It was a contraband call. Hartman's headset crackled with static, followed by a voice she didn't recognize, deep, calm, and too confident for someone behind bars. "It's done," the man said. "Tell him the delivery will be at the Riverside lot." Same cut as before. Another voice answered. "And the girl? She's scared, but she'll follow instructions." Threat worked. Hartman's blood ran cold. This wasn't just inmates gossiping. This was coordination, planned, structured, professional. She traced the signal. The source shocked her: Dorm C Unit, Cell 217. That cell belonged to Marcus Hale, a former gang enforcer serving 25 years for armed robbery. Hale wasn't just another inmate. He was connected, deeply. Investigators had flagged him years ago for suspected involvement in fraud schemes using smuggled phones. Nothing was ever proven. But now the proof was hanging in the air like a live wire. Hartman took the recording to Captain Ray Donovan, head of internal investigations. Donovan was a blunt, old-school officer who trusted his instincts more than paperwork. When he listened to the audio, his eyes narrowed. That's not small time. Someone outside is taking orders from inside these walls. And Marcus Hale? Hartman asked. "You think he's running something?" "I think," Donovan said slowly, "he might be running everything." They began a quiet inquiry. No paperwork. No alerts. They needed to know how deep the operation went before exposing it. Within 48 hours, 2 more illegal calls surfaced. Different phones. Same voices. Same coded operational talk. And each time, the signal led back to Dorm C Unit. But something strange happened on the third call. The moment the system flagged the signal, it cut off. Completely. Someone had shut it down mid-transmission, remotely. Donovan stared at the screen. Only staff have access to that override. Hartman's pulse quickened. "You think someone here is helping them?" "I think someone here," Donovan said, "is on the payroll." The investigation turned darker. When they checked Hale's cell, they didn't find a phone, they found 3. All hidden in different spots. All wiped clean. All recently used. Someone had tipped Hale off. That same night, Hartman discovered something else. The call logs from Dorm C Unit had been altered. Not corrupted, overwritten. Entire timestamps replaced with blank entries. Only one person in the facility had access to edit those files. Lieutenant Barry Keaton. A veteran officer. The kind who smiled too much and talked too little. He supervised Hale's unit and claimed he never saw anything suspicious. Donovan didn't buy it. While reviewing surveillance cameras, Hartman spotted Keaton entering cell 217 at 2:13 a.m., hours before the team searched it. Keaton stayed inside for 5 minutes, no escort, no reason. But the footage had a second problem. It ended abruptly, replaced with a frozen frame. A manual deletion. Someone was cleaning up. By the end of the week, Hartman and Donovan had enough evidence to confront the truth. A criminal ring was operating inside Palmetto Ridge, coordinating operations outside the walls, protected by someone wearing a correctional badge. But before they could act, Hartman received an anonymous text. A number she didn't recognize. 5 chilling words lit up her screen. "Stop digging. We see you." And attached beneath it was a photo. A grainy image of her car, taken from just a few feet away. Someone was watching her. Someone inside the prison. The photo of her car wouldn't leave Lena Hartman's mind. The grainy close-up, taken in near darkness, felt like a warning shot fired directly into her life. Someone inside the prison, someone with access, confidence, and no fear, wanted her to know she was being watched. Captain Ray Donovan didn't waste a second. "We keep this off the books," he said. "From this moment on, no logs, no reports, no digital trails. Whoever sent that picture already knows too much." They met in a quiet supply room in the administrative wing, away from cameras and guards. Donovan placed a box on the table. Inside was a small device. "A signal sniffer," he explained. "If Hale and Keaton are still using contraband phones, this will find them." Hartman nodded, though her hands shook slightly. She wasn't scared of inmates, she was scared of betrayal from the people she worked beside every day. Donovan led the way to Dorm C unit, moving like he had done this dance 100 times before. The device beeped softly at first, and then louder, and louder, until the screen pulsed red. "Someone's on a call," Donovan whispered. They followed the signal to a maintenance closet at the end of the corridor. Inside, behind a stack of cleaning supplies, a small black phone was wedged into the wall, still connected to an active call. Donovan put a finger to his lips and pressed the speaker button. A voice whispered on the other end. "Run it tonight. Keaton will unlock the back gate." Payment cleared. Hartman's chest tightened. Keaton wasn't just deleting logs, he was actively helping coordinate criminal operations from inside. But before Donovan could disconnect the call, footsteps echoed from the hallway. Hartman shoved the phone into her jacket just as the closet door swung open. Lieutenant Keaton stood in the doorway. His face didn't show surprise. Didn't show anger. It showed amusement. "Well," he drawled, "looks like you two found something that didn't concern you." Donovan stepped forward. "This ends now." Keaton's smirk widened. "No, Ray. It ends when I say it ends." Before either of them could respond, two other officers, both from Keaton's unit, appeared behind him. Their expressions were cold, unreadable. Hartman's heart dropped. Keaton had people inside the building. "Step out," Keaton ordered. "Hands where I can see them." Donovan leaned close to Hartman and whispered, "Don't panic. Follow my lead." They stepped from the closet. Keaton crossed his arms. "You're interfering with an ongoing administrative investigation." "That's a lie and you know it," Donovan snapped. "Oh, it's not a lie." Keaton's voice was ice. "See, Hale gave us names. Gangs outside needed certain inmates kept in line. Phone calls were part of the deal." Hartman frowned. "Hale? Marcus Hale?" "No," Keaton said. "Officer Hale. Your friend in Unit D." Hartman felt a sudden jolt. Jenna Hale, the officer who warned them weeks earlier, had been transferred abruptly. No one questioned it. No one said where she went. Now Keaton continued, tone sharpening like a blade. "Jenna made a deal. We gave her protection. She gave us information. But you?" He shook his head. "You're becoming a problem." Donovan stepped forward. "If you touch her." Keaton's smile vanished. "Ray, you have no idea how deep this goes." A radio crackled on Keaton's belt. A voice said. "Package moved. Shipment leaving Riverside now." Hartman's breath caught. That was the same location from the intercepted call. Donovan glanced at her. "They're using the gate tonight. That's our evidence." Keaton raised his hand. "Take their badges." But the moment his men approached, Donovan shoved Hartman backward. "Run!" She bolted down the hallway, alarms exploding behind her. Keaton's officers yelled for backup as she sprinted through the unit, heart hammering, gripping the contraband phone still in her jacket. Behind her, Donovan's voice echoed, a struggle, a shout, and then, silence. Hartman didn't look back. She had one mission now. Get out. Get to the command center. Expose everything. But when she reached the main control hub, her stomach dropped. Every screen was black. Every feed was wiped. And on the central monitor, a single message flashed. All events cleared. Before she could react, her phone buzzed again. A new text. You're next. Below it was another photo, this time, taken inside the prison. Of Donovan's badge, lying on the floor. Lena Hartman stared at the photo glowing on her screen, Donovan's badge lying on a concrete floor. A badge never left the body of an officer unless something had gone terribly wrong. Her pulse hammered in her ears as the reality closed in, she was alone now. Donovan had either been taken, or worse. But whoever sent the message made one mistake. They assumed fear would stop her. Hartman slid the contraband phone into her pocket and bolted toward the administrative wing. The corridors felt different now, darker, more silent, as if the entire building were holding its breath. As she turned a corner, she spotted two officers walking quickly toward C-Unit. Keaton's people. She ducked into a records room, keeping low as their footsteps passed. She needed proof. Real proof. Something big enough that no corrupt officer could make it disappear. She headed straight for the evidence vault, a small room used to store confiscated contraband. If Hale had been using multiple phones, if Keaton's team was smuggling devices in and out, and if payments were being coordinated from inside, there had to be traces left behind. The vault door required a keycard. Hartman slid her badge. Access denied. She cursed under her breath. But then she saw it, taped beneath the scanner, a tiny black sticker. A signal interceptor. It was blocking her clearance. Keaton's people had sabotaged the entrance. Her eyes darted around, scanning for an alternative. At the far end of the hallway was a panel marked maintenance only. She pried it open. Inside were exposed wires, dusty pipes, and a narrow crawl space leading behind the vault walls. It wasn't designed for people. But she wasn't turning back. Crawling through the darkness, she inched forward until she reached a rusted grate overlooking the vault interior. She could see shelves stacked with phones, chargers, stacks of cash, and boxes marked with inmate IDs. But one item stood out, a large evidence bag labeled Hale, M., December transfer. Marcus Hale. Hartman kicked the grate loose and dropped inside, landing with a metallic thud. She grabbed the bag and tore it open. Inside were 3 phones, all tagged, all wiped. But one phone had a faint crack across the screen. It wasn't wiped. It had been overlooked. She powered it on. The lock screen flashed, one new recording. Hartman pressed play. Marcus Hale's voice filled the room. If this gets out, it means they figured out I was talking. That phone you found? It's not the only one. Keaton's running the operation. But he ain't working alone. Someone higher up is feeding him protection. Hartman froze. Higher up? A loud beep echoed, the vault door unlocking. She spun, clutching the phone. The door opened slowly. Lieutenant Keaton stepped inside. 2 officers followed, blocking the exit. I told you to stop digging, Keaton said calmly. You should have listened. Hartman held up the recording. This is enough to bring the entire state down on you. Keaton chuckled. You think that recording will ever leave this room? At that moment, an alarm blared across the facility, not the usual one. This was the emergency override, triggered only when someone accessed the central command system. Keaton stiffened. Who? A voice erupted over the intercom. It was Donovan. Lena, go. I've got the system back. Keaton lunged, but Hartman sprinted past him, slipping between the 2 officers. She barreled down the hallway as red lights flashed overhead. Doors slammed open. Officers shouted. Footsteps thundered behind her. Donovan's voice came again, upload the recording, main terminal. She raced to the control room. The screens, once black, flickered back online one by one. Cameras resumed. Logs restored. Keaton's deletions reversed. Hartman reached the terminal, plugged in the phone, and hit upload. Progress bar, 42%. 63%. 89%. Keaton burst into the room. "Stop it." "Too late," Hartman said, breathless. The upload hit 100%. Every state correctional server received the file. Every administrator. Every investigator. Every oversight division. Keaton's fate was sealed. Donovan staggered into the doorway moments later, bruised but alive. Reinforcement officers followed, ready to detain Keaton and his accomplices. For the first time that night, Hartman let herself breathe. The ring was exposed. The calls were documented. The truth was out. A month later, multiple staff members were indicted, outside accomplices arrested, and the internal prison operation dismantled. But one last detail kept Hartman awake at night. Investigators never identified the person higher up who protected Keaton's ring. The recording ended with Hales saying, "He ain't done yet. And he ain't inside the prison." Hartman knew the story wasn't over. And if you think this case was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.